Jennifer Hudson's rise to stardom is a story you thought you knew until you look closer. Eliminated from American Idol, written off by industry insiders, she was never meant to be a superstar. Yet somehow, she didn't just rebound, she soared, landing an Oscar and global fame. But behind the glittering headlines was something far more unsettling. Her journey from underdog to icon wasn't just fast, it was suspiciously flawless. Then tragedy struck in a way that defies comprehension. Now, whispers of manipulation and power plays are resurfacing, and when the smoke clears, we're left asking, was Jennifer's rise truly destiny or design? Jennifer Hudson's rise to fame wasn't just impressive, it was unprecedented. A reality show runner-up with no major label backing or industry pedigree, she was dismissed by the very system she would soon conquer. Her elimination from American Idol was supposed to be the end of her dream, but it wasn't. It was only the beginning. In a leap that defied every industry norm, Jennifer skyrocketed from overlooked contestant to Oscar-winning powerhouse almost overnight. For most, this kind of rise is impossible, but for Jennifer, it was immediate. And that's exactly what started raising questions. While others claw for recognition, Jennifer's career took flight as if preordained. There was no typical grind, no years of waiting tables between auditions. One minute she was chasing callbacks, the next she was gracing magazine covers, walking red carpets, and accepting awards from the biggest names in Hollywood. To some, it was inspiring. To others, it was too smooth, too perfect. Because in Hollywood, perfection rarely comes without a price. By 2007, Jennifer Hudson's trajectory had outpaced even the most seasoned stars. But as the accolades rolled in, so did the whispers. How could someone with no deep industry connections make it this far, this fast? Her styling changed. Her interviews became more polished. Her music pivoted from raw gospel roots to accessible, inspirational ballads. Everything about her image seemed deliberate, curated, and meticulously controlled. That's when one name started appearing beside hers more often than coincidence would allow: Clive Davis. Clive Davis isn't just a music executive, he's a kingmaker, the architect behind Whitney Houston's meteoric rise, the visionary who discovered Alicia Keys, the man known for stepping in at pivotal moments and transforming raw talent into global legends. And in 2008, he began doing for Jennifer what he once did for Whitney, framing her as the voice of a generation, the soul of a new era. But industry insiders weren't calling her the next big thing. They were calling her something far more calculated, the next Whitney, not as a compliment, but as a plan. Suddenly, Jennifer wasn't just a rising star, she was being positioned as a replacement, a continuation of a legacy that had started to unravel. As Whitney Houston's public struggles intensified, Clive Davis appeared to shift focus, and Jennifer became the centerpiece of that shift. Her performances began echoing Whitney's style. Her press became more reverent. Her handlers ensured she appeared polished and palatable. Her ascension felt less like discovery and more like installation. By 2009, Jennifer wasn't just attending A-list events, she was in the inner circle. Photographed alongside moguls like Sean Diddy Combs, she was spotted at high-level galas, exclusive fundraisers, and elite private gatherings, the kind of spaces where careers are not just shaped but secured. For many, this access would seem like the reward for hard work, but for critics watching closely, the timeline didn't add up. Because Jennifer didn't retreat after tragedy, she was reintroduced flawlessly, strategically, and that raised even more eyebrows. In October 2008, the unimaginable happened. Jennifer Hudson's mother, brother, and young nephew were all found brutally murdered. The serene Southside Chicago neighborhood they lived in became a national crime scene. It was a tragedy so devastating that most would expect her to step away from the spotlight indefinitely. Instead, within months, she was back, smiling, poised, performing. To many fans, her strength was inspiring, but behind closed doors, people started wondering, how does someone return from such pain with such precision? This isn't about questioning her grief, it's about questioning the machinery around her. Because the same moguls now facing allegations of manipulation and abuse were standing beside her then. Clive Davis, Diddy, names that carried power and controversy in equal measure. The same people accused of building stars with one hand and hiding truths with the other. And Jennifer's rise, in hindsight, looks more and more like part of that pattern. Hollywood doesn't wait for legends to fade, it prepares their successors. And as Whitney Houston's presence waned, Jennifer's star ascended in parallel. The timing wasn't subtle, neither was the press coverage. Articles called her the torchbearer of soul. Critics crowned her the next vocal icon, but those kinds of narratives aren't born in tabloids. They're planted, supported by stylists, agents, publicists, and executives who pull the strings. When tragedy struck Jennifer's family, the response was swift. Her public appearances were limited, her projects paused, but then came the comeback, the national anthem at Super Bowl 43, a second album with polished production, appearances at high-profile events with minimal media scrutiny. It wasn't just a return, it was a relaunch, and it was flawless. But the cracks in the facade began to show. In 2016, William Balfour, Jennifer's estranged brother-in-law and the man convicted of murdering her family, broke his silence from prison. In a chilling interview, he denied involvement, claimed innocence, and alleged a conspiracy. He was calm, emotionless, and disturbingly detached. Despite overwhelming evidence, fingerprints, ballistics, surveillance, he clung to a story of being framed. And while few believed him, the eerie nature of his words stirred something unsettling. Jennifer, meanwhile, stayed composed. In later interviews, she reflected on her grief, her resilience, and her decision to keep moving forward. She credited faith, family, and her son with giving her strength. She forgave Balfour, not because she forgot, but because she refused to let hate win. Her actions spoke of unimaginable inner strength, but the precision with which her image was managed during and after the tragedy continued to draw attention. By 2025, the industry's darkest secrets began unraveling. Diddy, once a fixture at Jennifer's side, now stood accused of serious crimes, trafficking, control, and more. As court documents surfaced, names began to reappear, names that had stood beside him at red carpets, parties, and meetings. Jennifer Hudson's name wasn't tied to wrongdoing, but her presence in those rooms, those carefully controlled environments, could no longer be ignored. No one's accusing Jennifer of a crime, but in a world where power leaves fingerprints, her timeline intersects with too many others now under fire. Her rise wasn't random, it was engineered, supported, elevated, and possibly entangled in a system designed not just to create stars, but to control them. Jennifer's story is not just one of talent and triumph, it's a story of survival in an industry that trades in pain and profit, of a woman who lost everything and then gained the world, of a career built in the shadow of others, propelled by forces still being unpacked. And as the spotlight shifts from one mogul to the next, her name keeps resurfacing, not because of scandal, but because of proximity. The public is paying closer attention than ever before. Patterns are being exposed, the industry's grip is loosening, and as more truths come to light, we're forced to revisit Jennifer's story, not with admiration, but with scrutiny. How did she rise so fast? Who helped shape that rise? And what was lost or sacrificed along the way? Because the question is no longer whether Jennifer Hudson deserved her success. She did. The question is, who decided it would happen and why? That question stopped being rhetorical the day her life turned into a headline, and her name became part of a much bigger story.